If you're counting, we have been. It's been almost 3 weeks since our nation has been without a Speaker of the House. That means the House can't do its job. The number of representatives going for that job in the last 3 weeks went from 2 to 1 to 0, and tonight it's at 9. Among the 9 who won it, Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer. And right now, he and the rest of House Republicans are in a meeting to figure out who's going to get to the next round of voting on the House floor. Because that meeting is happening and, well, we aren't invited, our coverage will resemble a bit of a reporting relay. So I'll hand this baton to Kent.
Yeah, Jana, because that meeting is happening in Washington, political reporter John Croman is there and in place to see what happens when the Republican conference wraps up. But he is out of pocket until that happens, so I took a minute to catch up with him earlier to find out what is happening behind closed doors right now and what it means for Emmer.
We'll know a lot more when that wraps up. We'll know if any of these candidates are going to drop out or all 9 of them are going to go up for a vote tomorrow on the House floor. That'll be pretty interesting to see how it all plays out and if anyone can get to that magic number of 217 votes that you need to get over the threshold.
What's happening behind closed doors right now in Washington and maybe a little bit later when all of this plays out?
Well, the 9 candidates that want to be Speaker, they're making calls. They're making the rounds. And Tom Emmer kind of has an advantage when it comes to that because before he was a majority whip, which is kind of the job of trying to keep people in line and come up with the votes you need to pass bills, before he did that, he was the head of the National Republican Congressional Committee. He was in charge of recruiting candidates to run for Congress and raising money for them. So he's made a lot of friends along the way. So that's one of the reasons he has an edge going into this. But again, the Republicans have such a thin majority here that he's going to need every vote he can get because it doesn't take a lot, just a few votes going the other way, that you don't get a Speaker again, which is what we've seen here in the last few weeks.
Who is he trying to convince right now, John?
There were the 147 Republicans who voted not to certify the last presidential election, and Emmer actually did vote to certify it, and he said that he didn't think Congress had the authority to go against the will of the people and the elections that were happening in states across the country. So he's going to have to convince some of those pro-Trump hardliners that he's, respecting the spirit, their spirit and where they're coming from. But at the same time, he has to show other people that he's going to be like this reasonable leader, and so they can actually get things done here. So I think he's kind of has to walk this tightrope of saying I'm just as conservative as the next guy, but also saying I can responsibly lead. I've got this track record of being a leader.
In the House, it's not the only story going on possibly this week. Representative Dean Phillips there's been some talk about him running against Joe Biden or primarying up in New Hampshire. What have you been hearing?
Well, the people that are closest to Dean Phillips are saying now that he's 99% sure he's going to be making some kind of an announcement later this week in Concord, New Hampshire. And the deadline to file to run for president in New Hampshire is also coming up at the end of the week. So this would be the time he would need to do it if he's going to run. At one point he said he was just trying to spur interest in maybe some higher profile people challenging President Biden in the primary because he didn't think he had enough name recognition to really go very far. So the question becomes, if he does do something in New Hampshire this week, is it just to make a point? Is it just to show that not everybody's lockstep with President Biden running for a second term? That's kind of, I think, his mission that he's on.
All right, so I know you just landed in Washington. You have a lot of work to do. Have you booked your flights to New Hampshire yet? Or are you coming back? Do you even know where you're going from here?
I don't know. I just go where I'm told. I'm a KR-11 soldier,
That's right. Hey, you look good with that big Capitol dome behind you, John. It looks good. Thank you for your time, John. And speaking of New Hampshire, shortly after I wrapped up my conversation with John, former President Trump appeared in New Hampshire to file for the primary. Why am I mentioning this? Well, he brought this whole topic full circle. A reporter asked him if he is endorsing Tom Emmer for Speaker of the House. Trump did say that he's always gotten along with him and said that Emmer called him this weekend, but he did not endorse him, adding that there are a lot of great candidates and that he's trying to stay out of it. But that was apparently enough for Emmer, though. He's since tweeted his thanks to Trump, vowing that if elected, he'd continue a strong working relationship with the former president, Jana. And so this whole drama continues. And John, by the way, will have the very latest from Washington tonight at 10.
I think that just, illuminates John's point as the tightrope that Congressman Emmer has to walk if he's going to go where no one in his party has been able to go before, which is stay in this speaker job.
Yeah, and he hasn't spoken in a few days, and sending out a tweet like this, certainly he's trying to send a message to those hardliners.
All right, well, if you're into politics in Minnesota, you're already staying tuned, but I would keep your smart device handy because this could develop tonight through the morning. Thanks so much, Ken.